Shalom and good evening. This is TV7 Israel News broadcasting to you from Jerusalem. And in today's top stories, the European Union urged the warring parties in the Syrian conflict to show restraint amid what appears to be an escalation on several fronts across the war-torn country. Turkey sent a strong warning to the United States, stressing that Ankara will either mend relations with the Americans or will break apart from its alliance with Washington completely. U.S. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson attempted during a meeting with his Egyptian counterpart Sameh Shoukry to play down President Trump's decision to recognize Jerusalem as Israel's capital, emphasizing that the final borders of the city will be negotiated between Israel and the Palestinians. The European Union urged the warring parties in the Syrian conflict to show restraint amid what appears to be an escalation on several fronts across the war-torn country. The EU further stressed that it is imperative to avoid a further spiral of violence in the conflict-ridden region after Israel launched a massive counterattack against Syrian and Iranian installations in response to an Iranian drone infiltrating its airspace and an anti-aircraft missile downing one of its fighter jets.
So the military escalations throughout Syria, including the events we've seen on the Israeli border over the weekend, is deeply worrying. It could indeed lead to a dangerous spillover. We are following the situation very closely, and at the same time we urge the Syrian parties, their allies, as well as the regional actors, to abide by the international law, to show restraint and to avoid actions that further escalate the situation and prolong the suffering of the Syrian civilians.
Calm continued to prevail on the Israeli front with Syria, with Jerusalem emphasizing that while it will not accept violations of its territory and activities that it has underlined as red lines that pose a threat to Israel's national security interests, it does not seek any further escalation with the Syrian regime. Meanwhile, sources in Syria revealed to TV7 that during the Israeli attack on the Syrian T4 military airbase near the city of Palmyra, the Israeli Air Force destroyed the command and control systems of the Iranian unmanned aerial vehicle, which infiltrated Israel's airspace on Saturday morning. The sources further noted that while the entire crew of the Iranian drone were killed in the attack, Russian troops and Syrian Air Force fighter jets stationed at the airbase were not harmed, clearly indicating the success of the coordination mechanism in place between Moscow and Jerusalem. Now to the Turkish city of Istanbul, where Foreign Minister Mevlut Cavusoglu declared that Ankara will either mend relations with the United States or will break apart from its alliance with Washington completely. The Turkish top diplomat reiterated Ankara's position, in which it expects concrete steps from the United States to restore confidence in its longtime NATO ally, that after Washington refused to abandon the Syrian Democratic Forces, which includes the Kurdish YPG militia, a militant group viewed by Turkey as a terrorist organization.
Artık biz vaat istemiyoruz ve somut adımlar istiyoruz. Ve belli konuları ABD ile konuşabilmemiz için daha önce de tekrar söyledim. Kaybolan güvenin tesis edilmesi gerekiyor. Ve kaybolan güvenin nedeni de ABD'dir. Çünkü Türkiye hiçbir müttefikine, hiçbir dostuna ve hiçbir ülkeye yanlış yapmaz. Yapmamıştır, yapmaz. Ama müttefikimiz ABD'den çok ciddi hatalar gördük, yanlışlar gördük.
Turkey's military offensive against Kurdish YPG fighters in Syria's northwestern region of Afrin has increased tensions between Ankara and the United States. Since the start of the incursion, dubbed Operation Olive Branch, Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has asserted that Turkish forces will push east toward the city of Manbij, potentially putting them in confrontation with American troops deployed there as part of the US-led coalition against the Islamic State. In addition to the rift pertaining to Syria, Ankara and Washington have also spared over visa restrictions, a US reluctance to hand over Fethullah Gulen, whom Turkish authorities blame for a coup attempt in July of 2016, and President Donald Trump's decision to recognize Jerusalem as Israel's capital, a move resolutely opposed by Turkey. The comments by the Turkish top diplomat came ahead of the anticipated meeting with his American counterpart Rex Tillerson, who started yesterday an official tour of the Middle East in the Egyptian capital of Cairo. Following an extensive meeting with his Egyptian counterpart Sameh Shoukry, Secretary Tillerson announced that Washington remains fully committed in supporting Egypt's battle against terrorism.
We continue to be steadfast partners in their response to these attacks throughout this time. We agreed that we would continue our close cooperation on counterterrorism measures, including our joint commitment to the defeat of ISIS. And Egypt has been a very important member of the Defeat ISIS coalition from the beginning. Egypt deals with the threats of ISIS themselves and are dealing with it certainly currently in the Sinai.
The American top diplomat also noted Washington continued advocacy for fair, transparent, and free elections ahead of Egypt's presidential elections that are scheduled for next month. Meanwhile, Egypt's Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry noted that they also discussed the importance of finding a solution to the decades-old conflict between Israel and the Palestinians, which Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi has emphasized was a significant element that will lead to the restoration of stability across the chaotic region.
أكدنا مرة أخرى أهمية التوصل إلى حل الصراع الفلسطيني الإسرائيلي على مبدأ إقامة دولتين وأهمية استمرار الجهود الأمريكية للتوصل إلى هذه التسوية النهائية. طرحنا بالتأكيد الرؤية التي في مناسبات عديدة أكد عليها السيد الرئيس من ضرورة إنهاء هذا الصراع لاستعادة الاستقرار بالمنطقة بشكل كامل.
With regard to Jerusalem, Secretary Tillerson attempted to play down President Trump's decision to recognize the ancient city as Israel's capital. Now, to a related matter, the White House announced that US President Donald Trump held a phone conversation with Russian President Vladimir Putin, during which he stressed that this was the time to work towards a peace agreement between Israel and the Palestinians. The phone conversation between the Russian and American counterparts occurred right before President Putin welcomed to Moscow Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas. After Putin informed Abbas of the conversation, the Palestinian leader re-emphasized his position in which he would adamantly refuse any American cooperation as the sole mediator in peacemaking. The Palestinian leader further stressed to President Putin that under any situation, Palestinians would only agree to a political process if additional countries from around the world, including Moscow, would partake as co-brokers to avoid American bias towards Israel. Now to Jerusalem, where a spokesman of Benjamin Netanyahu's ruling Likud party quoted the prime minister as saying that he has held talks with American officials about the subject of applying sovereignty over Jewish settlements in Judea and Samaria, the biblical term for the West Bank. That said, the statement issued by the Likud spokesman contained no mention of any time frame for the territory's annexation. In response to the statement, however, the White House responded by adamantly denying any discussions between Prime Minister Netanyahu and the Trump administration with regard to the application of Israeli sovereignty to Jewish settlements across Judea and Samaria. Officials in Washington were surprised by Netanyahu's statements at the Likud faction meeting and demanded clarifications on the matter. A high-ranking political source in Jerusalem hurried to clarify that Netanyahu had not presented to Americans proposals for annexing territories, backtracking on the Likud statements. Thank you for joining us. You can also watch us at TV7israelnews.com or at TV7.fi. For any updates from Israel and its region, visit our Facebook page at TV7 Israel News. For any comments, please send your emails to israelnews@tv7.fi. Keep praying for the peace of Israel and the peace of Jerusalem. I'm Yair Pinto. Have a good evening, and we will see you again tomorrow at the same time.
In order to donate to TV7 Israel News, please follow these simple steps. First, press the Donate logo, located at the bottom left side of TV7 Israel News Facebook page, or on the Donate tab at the head of the page. Then insert the amount you'd like to donate, and fill in your credit card information. Just like this. And press Review Donation and continue. After reviewing your donation details, please press Donate to finalize your donation. That's it! Your donation is now complete, and an email with your donation details has been sent to your email address. You can also print your donation receipt by pressing the link here. Thank you for supporting TV7 Israel News.